Why is it going on, folks? Will Turbot here for Fake Mike. Real news. Oh, man, that shut the whole power off. Oh, man. That's one. Hold on. Cheese and crackers. Stay with me, folks. Hold on. This is what happened. I broke the backup one right now. I hope this is on public right here because my last video I did was not on public. Okay, great. It's public. All right, guys. So, since the last time you joined me, I'll just catch you up a little bit. I've had my YouTube banned. I finally got up to like 13.5K. They banned me there. Let's pull you up on the screen. How about that, huh? Let's welcome Adam Kokesh there. Okay. So I've had that. I had my Facebook banned since then, before Trump, both times. So take that. But you're in this weird spot. And I pointed this out before, and it's really crazy because even before they banned me, I would get more views on my videos than some of your videos. And I was excited when I got up past 10K. I was like, look at me, I'm a big boy. You have over 250,000 people. And I go and check your channel. I'm like, how possibly do I have more views than Adam Kokesh with 250,000 subscribers? So let's talk about this too. And let's just start this off because you're already shadow banned. And then now we're in the Biden era officially. So welcome. Unless you're still trusting the plan, I don't know. Jeff Sessions, they can come up any moment now. That's the reason I'm mad. I got banned from Facebook because I was gonna put up, trust the plan, Barron is in control, Guantanamo coming soon, don't worry, and just tag all the Q friends in that. So let's talk about the censorship and what's your take from the election. Let's talk about that. Yeah.
Well, okay, man. Thanks for having me on again, Will. I appreciate it. For those of you who don't know me, Adam Kokesh, AdamVersusTheMan.com, my main media production website right now, TheFreedomLine.com, my main website where you get my book for free and find everything else I'm up to. But man, about this election, first, do you know who actually won this election? Because there's a really easy answer, and it's not what you might think.
I think it would be the international banks and the intelligence agencies.
I was looking for a dumb, funny answer. You had to give me like a really thoughtful, serious one, Will. God damn it! Yeah, no, you're right. You're really right, and that's the bigger point. I think for anybody watching American politics is that it's between the two old parties, we have red flavored socialism and blue flavored socialism, keeping the central government going to protect all the fiat currency banks and protect the super class. And you see it in the last year more than ever before. What's the purpose of government? Keep the super rich getting richer at the expense of the rest of us. And they are doing a wonderful job. Look at Bezos and Musk and Gates and all of the billionaire class is doing just so well right now. Government must be like really patting itself on the back. But the real winner of the 2020 election was drugs. Drugs won. Drugs, and the people on drugs who are winning the war on drugs won the 2020 election decisively more than anybody else. And it's really exciting to see that this is really a fundamental part of the government racket, the war on drugs, controlling your mind, right? And a lot of it is suppression of obviously cannabis is the big underpinning, but so many other drugs that are made illegal because they're not dangerous, but because they're dangerous or they're not dangerous to the users, they're dangerous to the powers that be. What's the worst side effect of cannabis? And this is really dangerous. If you smoke cannabis after being lied to your entire life about it, you cannot smoke it and not come to the conclusion that government is totally full of shit. And that's like, yeah, just the government has to give up that racket.
I'm sorry to call your bluff here, but there's this one weird outlier, and I've always thought that too. I was like, yeah, because even my brother who kind of woke up and then he went to Bernie Sanders. I don't know how that works. That's a separate thing. But in North Korea, I don't know if this is CIA propaganda too, because we don't know what's going on in North Korea for sure. But they say that people are allowed to grow weed in North Korea. You think that they would be up on these people's butt, but I have found that in my own experience that they take a couple puffs and people will be like, "This is bullshit, man," And also they're doing the magic mushrooms, actual research, scientific research, which is showing it's helping with PTSD, it's helping with all these other things and it's also not addictive. You just banned my channel.
So as I was saying, though, cannabis, I know as a veteran who's dealt with PTSD, and I wrote one of my projects we just started was Homefront Battle Buddies, or sort of restarted as a group therapy, veterans community, veteran service organization for vets that want to seek treatment outside of official channels. And for me, I've come to peace with what I did, and I've used my story of that I tortured people in Iraq. Not that that was my job, but I crossed that line on orders that I should have disobeyed. And if I thought there was a legal liability there, I wouldn't have been comfortable talking to a shrink at the VA. But about cannabis, it's symptomatic treatment. Cannabis isn't the cure for PTSD or a lot of the sort of mental anxiety disorders that society is overwhelmed with right now. But it's an important symptomatic control treatment that allows you to get to either talk therapy or something more meaningful that's going to really rearrange your brain so that you're not dependent on pharmaceuticals or any kind of ongoing treatment. And MDMA and psilocybin, especially right now, on the cusp of being just realizing their potential to cure PTSD, so many other anxiety disorders, so many other problems, but even just as an enhancement for people to be able to get those kind of meditative experiences that allow you to put anxiety in perspective. Because when I do psychedelics, when I have like a really intense experience, there's this like overwhelming sensation that everything is right in the universe, and just there's a peace that comes with that they want to take from us. And to get to your thing about the censorship, for people who don't know, my history, my numbers, I'll get to explain what Will's talking about here, because it is really, like, I think my case is a really fun, offensive one. But with a lot of this stuff, you start with like, well, you only got so many views, and I go, well, gee, I guess it must be because my content sucks. And it's like, well, they can only go so far, but they've gotten us so cued in and hooked in and dependent and addicted to social media feedback and likes and numbers online. And it's so easily manipulated. It's very difficult to not let it affect you emotionally. And that's what they want to do. Like, they don't really care about any particular message. They don't pretend to be able to like sterilize the internet of anything anti-authoritarian, but enough to be disruptive, to render it ineffective. Think back to COINTELPRO, and anybody who's watching this, Will, we've talked about this, but if you don't know counterintelligence program, it's a portmanteau of those three words, COINTELPRO, the FBI program from the 60s and 70s to target the anti-war and the Black Panther movements. And the tactics that they're using today are just more refined and harder to detect and identify for what they really are with certainty, because they got caught and Congress called them on the carpet, and someone from the FBI said, "Oh, my bad. We're so sorry. We'll never do it again. I promise." And you go, yeah. Do you have a government bridge to sell me too? No, I'm sorry, Mr. Alphabet Boy. No, this is bullshit. And I know this from my time with Iraq Veterans Against the War. The kind of behind this, because we learned this from studying Vietnam veterans against the war, where one of my heroes, Scott Camille, if you want to look it up, he has a great mini doc called Seasoned Veteran, Scott Camille, CAMIL. And they actually shot him. DEA and FBI agents set him up. And when he figured out what was going on, they shot him in the back. And then they still tried him for just what do they have to do now to render us ineffective? And the censorship is a big part of it. And Will, I know you have a lot of experience in different media circles than I do, but so maybe you can tell me if this sort of squares with your experience. Well, first, let me give your audience the numbers to back up what you were saying. So when I was getting serious on YouTube years ago, when I got to like 50,000 subscribers, was when I started taking it really seriously. And at that point, my minimum view per video was about 5,000 views. Sort of makes sense. And 1 in 10 of your subscribers might see any particular video that you put out. That's pretty good, but not special, or nobody hugely beyond that audience seeing stuff. So we were pretty confident in that as the sort of minimum. I had an intern once post 5 minutes of black silence because he rendered a video wrong and didn't check it. And that still got 4,000 views like in less than a day before we realized, oh, hey, yeah, that's a mistake. Take it down. And then I kept growing my channel. And like you said, I got up to 250,000 subscribers. And somehow over the course of building from 50,000 subs and a sort of minimum view per video of 5,000, got up to 250,000 subs. And now my minimum views is like 300 sometimes. Like we'll post good videos. And you can see even over this last year, we've had some that have only gotten a few hundred views. And you're like, yeah, there's a fraud here. And you know, I've been looking into this, and I honestly don't know the ultimate or the immediate mechanical answer. I'm very confident we're going to get to decentralized social media pretty soon here, like within the next few years. Absolutely. The potential of blockchain and crypto is just, there's no way that, I mean, I have a feeling, and this is an inexpert opinion, right? That we have the technology for mesh nets, as in the cell phones that you could have if they were just upgraded one level maybe, or with memory and power and storage and you know, communications. We might not even need centrally controlled internet services at all in you know, like with today's technology. And this is being suppressed, obviously delayed in implementation, because it would mean the end of all the telecom giants. It would mean the end of all, you know, internet giants eventually, you know, and there's so many ways that we could do this with existing technology to render these companies, you know, ineffective in controlling the conversation. And they really do want to get in your head. Like that's the thing, is what do they want to do? They want to keep you, you know, anxious and question yourself so that you can't organize, and they want you to think you're alone. This is the important thing.
Yes.
They really want you to think you're alone in your deviant ideas and all the things that, you know, you're not part of the herd. You know, they want you to think that those ideas are abnormal, that when you have, you know, to create the illusion of the bandwagon fallacy. You know, everybody's going along with this, so you should too. So, Will, in the bigger censorship picture, there's this weird narrative now that, and it's not that it's weird, but it sort of rings false to me, that liberal-owned social media giants are working to censor conservatives. And when conservative in America simply means you're a red-flavored socialist instead of a blue-flavored socialist, you go, well, why do they care? That doesn't make sense. Why would, well, like, really? And I think the bigger story is that it's a cover to censor libertarians. And not just libertarians, but conservatives. If you're a conservative by any modern American definition, you're not any threat to the status quo. You're just another good, reliable citizen voting taxpayer. You know, we don't care. But if you're a libertarian, or, you know, someone, I mean, even alt-right or Green Party types, or any kind of anarchist, or you know, really meaningful activists. I mean, look at Trump pardoning Blackwater security contractors who were responsible for the massacre.
I thought he was going to pardon Edward Snowden, or maybe,
and then not Snowden, and not Assange, and not Kiriakou. Like, you go,
you know what? I got so sorry. I'm almost swearing. I got so pissed on his last day. You know, I've been goofing on the QAnon people for a long time, but I actually did think that, you know, maybe in his last day, I mean, even Obama commuted Bradley Manning's sentence. I mean, let's just talk a second about Trump's legacy. And the thing is, he's also not going anywhere too. And it's so sad, because at first, when Trump came into the things, we were like, okay, well, some of these Trump supporters seem a little open-minded. Maybe we can bring them into the fold. You know, that they don't like the government. But like you said, they actually do love the government. And it's just really, really scary, because Trump also hijacked some of our talking points about the media. And now we're like lumped in with him. What do you see? What do you see as Trump's legacy and going forward? Because I think it was very hurtful to the movement. A lot of people in the truther movement, if you will, which is a terrible term, it kind of split half of them went with Trump, and some of them was like, and now it's like to get. So what's your thoughts on all that I just spewed at you?
Well, yeah. First, the background understanding I've had of Trump from the beginning, and it was funny. I read, I think it was an editorial or a letter to the editor from Senator Sass today, and he pointed out Trump is a former Democrat who was a Democrat donor and voter more than half his life. And then he comes, and it's like, how did you fuckers fall for this from the beginning? Like, really? Like, I've been saying, like, Donald Trump is the greatest trick the Democrats ever pulled on the Republicans. And in a way, possibly the greatest trick that the establishment has pulled on people who care about freedom. Because a lot of us, and I'll say a lot of us, I mean, friends of mine, were sucked into supporting Trump because he had the right kind of libertarian lip service baked into his message. I mean, he came out and gave a shout out to Rand Paul and said, well, I'm kind of a libertarian on one of his last big interviews. And you're like, you keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
What's going on?
Yeah, a terrible impression, right?
Too. Rand Paul has been, I don't know, he's been pissing me off lately too.
Well, I was never hopeful, and I think if there's,
that's my problem too.
I mean, I want to look at I'm an optimist. I believe in the essential nature of human progress, and that we are going through an accelerated period of transition of the sort of the asymptote of the human experience as technology accelerates and capability accelerates. And for all the evil of Trump, he did shake things up. He was a destabilizing force. Now, you might argue that he was a stabilizing force for the establishment because he did his job as president and he protected the banks, he protected the central racket and so on. But he could have even done a better job if he was just trying to do that and put on would it have cost him much to pardon Assange and Snowden? I mean, who whispered in his ear and said, no, you can't do that. The deep state's going to hate you. And he can't.
Supposed to go against the deep state. He basically coined the term. He's supposed to drain the swamp. We got Giuliani, we got John Bolton, and nothing. Do you think, I guess, do you think that he was a willing puppet in this? Do you think he was a misguided person trying to do the best he can? It's really tough to tell because I thought I would know years ago. Me and my brother have this running joke. Like, oh, we'll find out after the first Republican debate. Well, we'll know if he really goes after Hillary in these debates. Well, we'll give him 60 days to see if he really destroys the globalism. And now he's already gone, and I'm still not sure of his place, how it works.
Holding the bag. Okay, so I think having a better understanding of what American elections really are was necessary to understand what Trump represents. So some people will say that the presidents are puppets and that they're simply selected and groomed from the beginning. And I don't think that's accurate. I don't think that really sums it up, but it does make some important points, right? I think it's more accurate to say that the super class, who are the real profiteers, the real powers behind the curtain or behind the scenes, so to speak, behind the throne, they will keep people out of the contest who are a threat. And that's easy. But with the people who are left, they're okay with any of them. And they want there to be a genuine competition to see who gets to be the front man or woman for this system. They want that they're kind of, you could see elections as market testing of propaganda for the establishment, right? They go, which politician is going to give us the best illusion of buy-in from the people and get them to think that this is a government by, of, for the people and all that happy horseshit propaganda. And so you think about that going into 16, right? After 8 years of Obama before that, it's kind of an open race, and Trump comes in, and he actually, he was just such a better showman and debater and messenger and emotional manipulator. I mean, and I don't, like, I say that like as a compliment in the sense that he's good at manipulating. He's good at that. Yeah, and the comment there, the two-party system is dead. See, that's what I want to look at as the positive legacy of Trump. And if you take this moment that has had so many challenges for this country baked into it, and I would hope with Corona, y'all are sitting at home. I hope you're taking some time to rethink your life a little bit, or at least some of your politics. Maybe answer some of these bigger questions that have been nagging you about, well, what is government really about? Why am I always pissed off at it? Why is it always disappointing me? Why do I feel like a victim in an abusive relationship? Well, why do I just get manipulated, between these two factions of the establishment, and we don't get any real alternatives? I mean, we do with the Libertarian Party, but more importantly, as you know, Will, I've always been concerned about changing the paradigm, and there's a lot of deeper psychological shit for this country tied up in Trump, especially the masculine energy, and I would say that if there is such a thing as toxic masculinity, it's when your dick is so small that you feel the need to be boastfully aggressive. What is it? Does Trump have a small dick? Probably. I don't really care, but he obviously has some insecurity complex that leads him to a natural way of engaging with the world that made him the man for the moment in 2016, where he was able to tap into that white male disaffection. It was very reactionary. A lot of people like Trump. Why? Not because they liked any of his policies, because he pissed off the left.
Yeah.
That's a fucked up way to do politics, America. We're going to elect somebody to be in charge because he pisses people off.
Well, not only that, he's like you said quite eloquently earlier, he's got the red form of socialism. He believes in socialized defense. He believes in the cops slamming him a little extra harder. He believes we got to replace the healthcare. So he's like saying America first, and he's just a socialist himself. And shout outs to the Rundown Live for this awesome shirt. Hopefully I do survive the coronavirus so I can continue to wear this and people won't laugh at me. But as of right now, I've still survived. I got the test, came back negative. It's funny, too, because I didn't even introduce you. If you guys are just joining, obviously, I've had Kokesh on the show a number of times, and it's really awesome that I have because he's amazing. He's a radio TV show host, author, presidential candidate, activist. He's done some of the reason I hit you up again is because I was showing my boy Todd some of your work, some of your early work, and I was just like, yeah, we're going to get this guy come back on. And another thing that I kind of want to talk about, which is a little bit different here, too, is auditing. Have you heard of First Amendment, Second Amendment auditing? Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I love it. One of my best friends is Mike Nelson, Blind Justice.
Oh, really?
Blind. Yeah. So, I got him. I got him turned on to the message. He's a big fan of the book Freedom. I consider point.
But yes,
I consider him the heir to my body of work. Actually,
well, good for you, Blind Justice. And
yeah,
right, because that's the reason I wanted to know if you knew about 1A audits. Because before people were doing 1A audits, I would almost consider you like a proto 1A, 2A auditor. I'd like to think of that as that a lot of the activism that I did that was confronting government officials and law enforcement was that, but we just didn't have the term for it. And sort of after I got away from that, and I was like, all right, I'm going to focus more on politics and media. Let the younger guys, do that kind of shit. It was really beautiful to see that term emerge, 1A audits. And by the way, Blind Justice, my friend Mike Nelson and his wife Christine and their kids, I've hung out with all of them. They're amazing. They lived here in Arizona and at my place for a while, actually, and helped build some of the stuff on our property. And he's blind from his military service. And one of the fun things that I got to do with him was called Wake for Warriors. It's a nonprofit that just takes veterans out, primarily disabled vets, out wakeboarding and wake surfing. And this motherfucker can wake surf blind by touch and sound. And you're like, just special forces, badass operator. And I know it's, he's not like literally blacked out blind. He's got like fuzz that he sees in the middle still, I think, but it's been gradually coming down. But I saw him do the wake surfing with a unicorn, like mask on, blocking his view and everything.
This guy can wake serve blind, and to see him go in and play that veteran status and military connected blindness status to do these First Amendment audits, but also like disabled Americans' rights audits. I think that's so beautiful. Now, if I may, to turn to Corona and the big picture, if I can share a little practical advice, because I'm so anti-mask. It's offensive. It is really sad how they have gotten everybody to go along. And I thought that would have been, Trump declares a national state of emergency, caves to that racket after having the proper position of like, yeah, this is a thing, but it's a funky off-season flu. We can handle it. Don't overreact. Like that was his first position. And I was like, yeah, hey, Trump got something right. He's actually Trump is now challenging the super class. He's challenging the deep. Oh shit, never mind. National declaration of emergency. And to hear the Trumpkins deny his role in that, it was so embarrassingly pathetic.
Governors, he didn't have any control of the state issue.
It was just the governors. It was just, and then a month later, he's bragging at a White House press briefing with a video that's like a campaign ad about how much his team has done to fight Corona. But in order to get all of these mask mandates passed, they had to include medical exemptions, right? Like if you're asthmatic, we're not going to force you to wear a mask. If you have some kind of PTSD or you're super autistic and having that on your face freaks you out, we're not going to. It's cool. Some places we might ask you to stand outside and we'll serve you on the curb, but we will accommodate you. And I got to go to Hawaii on my honeymoon with my wonderful wife Samantha last week, and flying in and out of Hawaii and the way they do mask shit there, it's crazy. But I wear a mask. I wear a bandana around my neck when I go out, and I never put it on unless someone within 6 feet of me asks. And then I say, do you recognize medical exemptions, or are you enforcing this policy illegally? Or, hey, I'm not supposed to wear a mask actually because I have a medical exemption. And I think about this with people like me in Blind Justice and everybody now doing 1A, 2A audits, confronting police, making sure that they're respecting your rights. It's really important work for people who don't know how to handle themselves in those situations and find themselves in them by accident and then end up getting beaten up or shot because they did something clumsy that they didn't know the police might take the wrong way. Or they just
shot. Police are trained to subvert your Fourth Amendment rights. What are you doing here? You're not supposed to give me your ID. Well, there's what do you
lie to you? And they can legally lie. So anyway, with the masks, on the airline, I got, I went, by the way, I went through the airport both times and I only wore my mask for about 30 seconds. I wore the first time it was funny. I go and get a pat down at TSA, and halfway through the pat down, the TSA agent goes, excuse me, sir, I realize we have a problem here. You're not wearing a mask. And I go, well, actually I am. I got a bandana right here. And he goes, well, you need to put it on. So I put it on. He finishes the pat down. I said, just since you asked so nicely, sir, I'll put it on for you. We were it was a very chummy TSA exchange overall. And my wife was there and they're, looking hot, and they're all making fun of me for that. And but as soon as he walks away from me, I take the bandana down, and they never say anything again. And then I put it on the airplane as we were getting on, just because I know that's a sensitive point. I don't want to make shit hard for staff. But then when they were giving me a hard time on the plane about it later, and for me it was, I had a bottle of wine on my lap the whole time. Oh no, I can't wear my mask because I'm drinking. But they don't actually know this. They don't know about the medical exemptions, and I got to feel sorry. Like, what's my medical exemption? I had pneumonia when I was in Fallujah in 2004, so I like to breathe. No, my medical exemption is I have PTSD. And I know that this mask is bullshit, and submitting to bullshit authority causes me anxiety. So fuck off. I'll play that card.
Let me just throw one in for the next time. I like to use, because first of all, me and Auditing America, shout out to Auditing America, put some in Surveyor War, put Auditing America as a place to see mass refusals. Him and I collaborate all the time. We've done a number of mass refusals at prisons, state houses, city halls, and so forth. Every single time we say, hey, give me a copy of the law, because it's not a law. First of all, it's an executive order, it's not a law. And then when you get it, there are always exemptions. And due to HIPAA, you don't have to tell them what your exemption. I usually go with freedomitis or elephantitis of the penis, but you can go with whatever you
If they ask, you just say, I reserve my right to medical privacy.
Exactly. So yeah, and now Biden came in on election day, day one. It's a mandate. It should be a them date or woman date. Oh, by the way, Adam, did you hear about the brand new mandate?
The person date.
No, it's actually a brand new mandate. Okay. Barack was taken out to dinner by Michael, so it's a brand new mandate. You got that exclusive here. But yeah, so that's the thing. We're gonna have to be dealing with a lot when Biden comes in. I'm actually glad that Biden got in because I feel like people on the left don't love him, people on the right don't like him, and I kind of wish we could go back in time to 2016 because I think we'd be unified if Hillary Clinton got in. We'd all gang up together, and I think you're talking about the psychological aspect of things. What can we do to unite besides maybe a common external threat or an enemy? Because this is the time that we do need to unite, and I feel like we are growing, but the polarization is still there, and I feel like even if Donald Trump was a real guy and he pulled out, I mean, did you see the Hunter Biden laptop videos? Nothing really changed. I mean, he could pull out Hillary stabbing a kid to death and it's still half the people won't wake up. So where do we go from here and how can we unify people going forward?
Yeah, that's the lesser evil duopoly trap that we have fallen so deeply into. So there's the way that you say unify there suggests some organizational unity or unity of effort. And I don't think that's what's going to do it. I think the future is decentralized. And if we're going to be united in something, it's going to be at a deeper spiritual level. Because right now, government exists the way it does as an evil, coercive criminal enterprise because we have a critical mass of the population united in supporting it. If we just stop uniting to support this evil, the evil stops. And if you want to say that we should be united in something, united in mutual respect, united in love, united in acknowledgement that you are a free, beautiful, independent human being and you own yourself. You should never let anybody tell you otherwise. And so that gets me to what I'm doing here in Gardenia, the Garden of Freedom, here in my 10-acre homestead in the mountains of northern Arizona, in declaring sovereignty and saying that we're not part of the United States anymore. We're going to secede on our own land. You know, we call ourselves Gardenians. If you live in Gardenia, which is short for the Garden of Freedom, you're a Gardenian. And someone said, well, you're not even American anymore. It's like, no. We're so American that we needed a new word for it. So we came up with Gardenian. Because what does it mean to be American? Like if you want to say that in anything to do with the core values of this country, it's saying fuck you to the emperor. Fuck you, King George. We don't want to be a part of your little club anymore. Right? And if we have to fight you to be independent, we will. And what we're doing here is a micronations project. And that was the video link I sent you to our announcement about that from last week.
Which is in the description box right now. So go check that out after this video. Please stay watching this for at least a few more minutes.
Thank you. And it's just about 10 minutes long. And it lays out the vision for this as a micronation. And we plan to declare war on the United States and then concede so we can get a multi-billion-dollar aid package to really get things turned up here and rebuild our infrastructure.
I would just actually maybe have some problems with immigration and get some foreign aid sent to you, and then you could just handle the foreign aid. But I definitely am not about declaring war, guys. Adam, I just got the damn channel back. What the hell? And you know what? You should honestly start a new channel or something because you're at a point where it's just ridiculous. You're not. Why even have that many people? This is a question. I got 3 more questions left for you here. I want to know what inspires Adam Kokesh.
The same thing that made me want to join the Marine Corps in the first place is that I wanted to have my life on the line for something that mattered. I wanted to live.
That's my same answer too. I want my life to be something that mattered. I didn't want to be living in a cubicle. I want to say, shoot, I did something. That's a good answer, Adam Kokesh.
So I have a tattoo that I got when I was in the Marines. and it's an old Jimmy, or it's an old, sorry, this is an old quote from a Marine who died in Vietnam allegedly, and it's, for those who fight for it, life has a special flavor the protected never know. And then USMC, of course, which stands for you suckers miss Christmas. No, I'm sorry. You seen my cab. No, wait. You suck my cock. No, that's, oh, wait. United Soviet States Marine, something like that. Anyway, and then I got Iraq Veterans Against the War. And this is the Jimi Hendrix quote: when the power of love overcomes the love of power, the world will know peace. And it's sort of like this is the, you know, the motivating spirit in the warrior ethos. And, you know, this is the why. This is what we do it for the love of humanity, for the love of life itself. So for me, as a freedom activist, you know, what is freedom? Freedom is what you have when no one is forcing their will on you. So what is a lack of freedom? It's somebody being a dick. It's somebody violating somebody else's rights. If you don't have that ideal of freedom, if your rights aren't respected, then you're the victim of some kind of criminal. And it might be a drug warrior saying you don't have the right to put what you want in your own body. And if you exercise that right in a way that we don't like, we're going to lock you in jail. You know, that you are the victim. And if you are enforcing a victimless crime as a cop in that scenario, you are the criminal. So standing up to the greatest injustice in the world today, which is the institution of government, I can't think of a more righteous cause. I mean, yeah, I guess if I was smarter, I'd be working on world hunger or poverty. But I think, you know, this is one of those fundamental causes. You look at government, you go, I mean, if you just got rid of borders, if you just got rid of government borders, the illegitimate ones, as opposed to the legitimate borders, private property borders, right? If you just got rid of government borders as a restriction on the free flow of labor, as in if people were able to cross borders to work, global GDP would double. Wow. Like, yeah, just that one little injustice, that your freedom of movement, you as a human being have a right to move anywhere you want, as long as you're not violating another person's property, right? You have the right to associate with whomever you want, regardless of whether they're on the other side of some imaginary line government drew on a map. No, screw that. When they say that you can't exercise those rights, they are threatening you with violence for exercising your rights as a human being. You're a victim, and the consequence of that is huge. Yeah, we would end world hunger. We would end poverty if we weren't losing so much value to the violent racket of government.
All right. It's okay. So let's go to this one too. I wanted to briefly talk about your book, Freedom. We don't have to get too much into it. It's going to be right here. All the links are right here. Honestly, Freedom is like the perfect book for me. I got it from you back when I met you, 2016, 2015, when you were giving a speech out here. And this book is idiot proof. You can download it for free at freedomline.com. It literally is. Everybody knows here I'm trying to stop. This is going to be the last time I'm going to say this, but I'm an idiot with the backwards hat. No longer. I'm going to be a leader from now on. But I'm an idiot with the back. Oh, this is a thumbnail right there. Hell yeah. So this is literally foolproof. This book. It's an easy to understand words. It's not terribly long. You're not ranting and raving and pontificating. It's a great book. I demand every single one of you guys to go over there and get this book. It's amazing. I also wanted to have feature you in this book. I just finished writing a book, and I have some other things I could talk to you on the side about, some other projects I'm working on. But it's about the Constitution, freedom. It's also about auditing, and I'd like to feature you as like one of the proto auditors. I also planned on I'm interviewing some of the top auditors out there, like maybe get a glossy baseball card over there. But I wanted to feature you in there as one of the proto auditors. You're like the godfather of this. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted
one of many.
There's a lot of people that have been doing a lot of things, but I'd like to highlight you to do that. Do you have any advice? Because I mean, you did your book marketing a lot different than other people. You're giving the book away, and you've written other books. So tell people if there's any aspiring authors out there, how to get their works out, and tell people about your books as well and how they can get them and a little synopsis there.
Yeah, well, the second book hasn't been released yet. We're hoping for later this year for Hot, Dirty, and Dangerous, my war memoir. But Freedom is completely self-published. We've got over 250,000 copies in print, at least 3 million downloads. It's been ripped and translated, and it's gone all over the internet in different ways. It's kind of taken on a life of its own. That's why I say, Mike Nelson, Blind Justice, is the heir to it. If something happens to me, he gets to take over and manage all that. But as the keeper of freedom. But, Will, about advice on that, I was very fortunate to be in a position where self-publishing was appropriate for this book and what I want to do with it in this model. I don't want to say that, hands down, it's got to be that way. It's like saying, don't drive on government roads. If you're going to publish a book, only self-publish. It's nice if you can get away from paying taxes, if you can get away from intellectual property, if you can get away from the corporate control of your work. I definitely appreciated all of that. But Will, I got to ask, when you say the Constitution, do you mean the legitimate American Constitution or the current one?
Well, I don't. I guess I'd have to dig in a little more to what you're saying. I mean, I'm like you. You and two other people were instrumental in turning me from a Ron Paul libertarian into a voluntarist. I mean, that was maybe 4 or 5 years ago when that happened, and that book was instrumental. Reading that book, it made so much sense. And like I said, I'm not like the world's brightest bulb. But I'm reading it, this makes total sense, and I'm like, okay, so. I'm not even a fan of the Constitution, but what I've been saying is, I agree. The only Constitution should be the non-aggression principle, if it was up to me. But I feel like we're in such a place where we're so far away from at least even the Constitution that these people swore an oath to that, and they're getting paid to do that. So let's get them back to that. So a lot of it is, and that's not what the book is getting it back to the Constitution. It's highlighting how the cops swear an oath to the Constitution, yet do the exact opposite of that all the time. And also, We do have some solutions. We talk about the future of policing. We talk about the proper power dynamic between the government. They're not public officials, they're public servants, and how it should be. So it's kind of more of an educational thing. When we take down the Bill of Rights, and we kind of break it down too. So and how it's non-existent right now.
Thank you for pointing out this book is not Amerocentric. It doesn't mention the Constitution or even any historical specifics. It's a very easy to understand, complete philosophical, abstract treatise, if you will. And Will, to see someone like you as active as you are in producing and to have any role whatsoever in shaping your worldview, man, it's really an honor. And I think you're 90% there, and I don't mean that in an insulting way. I mean that's like you're 90%.
What do we need to work on? No, I mean.
Let me try to put this in helpful terms. So I think a lot of your audience has similar, contradictions that you're trying to figure out, because that's how you wake up, right? As you go, wait, they said one thing, then they did another. Why? And you don't just let that shit go. You dig, and you got to be tenacious intellectually and say, I'm going to get to the bottom of this rabbit hole. I'm going to figure this out. I'm not going to let them get away with it. And so you're there philosophically. Obviously, like you said, you're not a fan of the Constitution. Let me offer you just first a different perspective on that, because what we're doing here in Gardenia is starting a constitutional proprietarian monarchy. And that's entirely ethical, in line with the libertarian concept of the non-aggression principle. I bought this land legitimately. I own it by every legitimate metric. And I'm declaring it sovereign, and I'm creating a system of authority of my policy on my land where I'm king. Yeah, that's it.
You should be king on your land. That's where the United States started. We kicked out the king and said, we're all kings. You're king on your land.
Exactly. And if it's, and I plan on making a constitution because I believe that as the owner of this property, I should have a published security policy. I should be able to tell people like, hey, if you step over my fence line, I might shoot you, that's, and I very unlikely. But if I had to, I would, right? And with an air gun only, because I'm a felon. Or a bow and arrow. Shoot you with a bow and arrow. That's it. So I'm a constitutionalist in the sense that if people are going to come together and have anything of an authority over land or a territory or call it a government, that it should clearly lay out what its rules of operations are. And it is kind of offensive that we have these rules on paper right now and they're not being followed. But the last piece that, I think resolve maybe that last 10%. And I don't want to say that I'm perfect. Like I've got all sorts of other shit, I know enough to be humble about what I don't know.
Damn feedback, Adam.
What's that?
Give me some damn feedback.
Yeah, well, the Constitution that we have today is the product of an illegal coup against the Articles of Confederation, which were a legitimate constitution that was voluntary, that required unanimous consent to change. The Constitution that we have today is an illegal document that created a new strong central authority for not the founders who said screw you to King George, but the framers who messed it all up with the Constitution in order to create a standing army that the founders were against, a central bank, a system of national taxation, the intellectual property racket, and the recognition of slavery as a legal institution whereby slaves are 3/5 of people. That was not the thing under the Articles. We had an American Constitution before the thing that we call the Constitution today. So I think instead of trying to say, hey, let's get back to that, it's better to say, and this is where you're already there, man. You're already there. I just want to make this one last connection for you. And I think more for your audience who is sort of like hung up on this. Well, we could get back to the there is no back to the Constitution. The Constitution itself was a lie. You give us this power and hey, look, we'll give you this thing called the Bill of Rights. We promise we won't violate them. Really? How's that working out for you? So no, I don't think the Constitution, except as a tool to illuminate the hypocrisy of government, is really useful in an ideological sense. And if you approach this from the libertarian ethics of voluntarism, the Constitution is revealed to be the document that authorizes
exactly
what we have today.
As you have so well put, I mean, the government is the biggest murderer, the biggest. I mean, you're talking about, oh, maybe I should, if I was smart, solve human hunger. Well, that's caused because of government's inefficiency. So you're right. I could not agree with you more, and you brought me to that realization. No matter what kind of government, we could get back to the Constitution, the articles of that's still it's still slavery. You're still enforcing your ideas, and I think we both can agree that hopefully, I think the evolution of mankind has been our struggle against first kings, then queens, then the church, and then we're like, all right, let's self-govern. I think the next most logical step is saying, let's really self-govern. Let's not use any force or violence to back up our ideas because they're that good that we don't have to put a gun in your face. Now, final question here, and I appreciate that because.
Well, let me just say one more thing to sort of complete the idea about Gardenia, the Gardenia Sovereignty Project, decentralization. This is the answer. And when I ran for president in the last cycle for the Libertarian nomination, my platform was to peacefully dissolve the federal government so that we end up with 50 independent states and up to 562 sovereign native nations. And we fundamentally restore the voluntary nature of government in the sense that now, well, if a state can break off from the feds, well, then a county can break off from a state. If a county can break off from a state, a city can break off from a county. You, as an individual, then, at least on your own property, can secede and declare yourself sovereign if you want to. And then we have a global network of people unified in respect and love for each other and for respect for our rights and freedoms. And I really think that's the future one way or another. So like with my presidential campaign, I'm suggesting here's this top-down solution. Excuse me, if we can get the consensus that way first. But with the Gardenia Sovereignty Project, here's the bottom-up solution. You can challenge the government. And this is if you don't know micronations, like look up micronations. There's a great history of this in the whole world of people saying, no, we're going to be independent here. Leave us alone. And there have been ones with various levels of success where they are truly effectively sovereign, to ones that are just jokes or protests. And I think what we're doing here is kind of a combination of all of that, where we are seriously saying we are sovereign. We are going to demand the rights of sovereignty. We're not going to fight for them because we're not dumb. We're not trying to be the bigger force here, but we will fight. We will resist, and we will assert our rights and take what we can get at least, and exercise that sovereignty here. I think embracing that, doing it not out of selfishness, but doing it out of love, to say the system that I was a part of as an American hurt people more than it helped.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be a part of that. And because I love my fellow human beings, I must say that I will no longer support that system.
Well, that's why I really admire people like you, and you're in a very elite class of even activists or people that I know doing this, because you're one of the few people, and there's some other people, shout out to Rise of the Moors, doing it. You guys actually walk the talk. You guys actually do it. You know what I'm saying? You guys do what you say you're going to do. You commit yourself. You get arrested if you have to. You face off with people. You're not preemptively violent. You're not doing anything like that. But you make your lines in the sand. You go out and do everything that you're about. And I appreciate that very much. And it's so funny because, you know, I got people in the chat and then on our other videos too. Oh, Will's always he shows up with Biden. He shows up with Hillary. He shows up Alex Jones. He's got Adam Kokesh on the show. He's definitely a shill. These guys are definitely Israel first. But last question here. Let's get a fun one. Let's just say we dissolve the federal government by February 5th. What are you doing for your birthday? What's a perfect birthday for Adam Kokesh? How can we pay you back once we dissolve this federal government here?
You know, I kind of answer that indirectly, I suppose, with my retirement fantasy, because as libertarians who are committed to taking on this institutional injustice of government, we do want to put ourselves out of business, right? We want to lick this thing. We want to evolve humanity past this paradigm of coercive statism. And I think of it as, well, when we're done, you know, I want to retire. I want to do what I'm doing now, kind of on the side of building a homestead. I want to love my wife and have a family and make art, music, babies, wine, women, and song. You know, all that, like that. Like why? Like I want to get to the. I mean, I have a feeling that, you know, as someone who's embraced that warrior mentality and is doing it on an intellectual plane now, that I might never get to retire. There might always be some application of my voice to challenge the injustices of the world. But I do hope that we get to that point. And I'm a pretty simple man. You know, I don't want, you know, luxury or extravagance. I want my 10 acres with my home gym and my swimming pond and my workshops. And I want to be able to go make what kind of art I want at any time, and music, and be surrounded by a big loving family. And I think that's kind of just speaks to the universality of the human experience, and that we all want that. But I can't, having been a part of that injustice of government directly, I don't think I could enjoy that while watching humanity suffering under statism the way that it is today.
Well, Adam, you say everything I would say in an interview, only way better. So I appreciate that. And you know, you and I are same birth year. You know, and you've always been somebody that I've admired, I've looked up to. And like I said, I mean, even before you're teaching me about, you know, voluntarism, I'm like, wow, this guy's done some great activism. Like, I'm jealous of. I was mad when you were dancing terribly, getting arrested at Jefferson Memorial. I was like, why didn't I think of loading a shotgun? Like, you know, why didn't I think this is just brilliant stuff? So
because you have a filter that stops really dumb, dangerous ideas from bubbling up. That's why.
I don't know. I'm still dealing with some stuff right now. But Adam, what's the best way for first people to donate to you? Because you're an individual. I know you don't ask for donations at all, but you're somebody you're giving the book for free. You're putting your life, your body, your everything on the line for freedom. How can people help you out?
Well, what I'm really trying to do right now is focus on building the Adam versus the Man business. So AdamVersusTheMan.com, Patreon. I think you can give me $10 a month and know that I'm going to use it to keep fighting the man and support this media production. We're doing 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. And we had to take some time off over the holidays. And my producer, CJ, was in DC on January 6th. So he's still on his way home after a lot of those shenanigans and legal challenges. So we're restarting regular production on Monday, the 25th. Yeah. Monday, the 25th of January, we're going to be back in regular production, and call into the show, have some fun. I love what we do with Adam versus the Man. I have a great team behind me. And Will, about some of your earlier questions about censorship and distribution, I am so blessed to have CJ as my producer and Jim as a co-host and backup producer, and Mercedes and Marcus and everybody else in the Producers Club. If you give us $10 a month, we let you in on the editorial team conversations in a private Telegram chat, and it's a lot of fun. And if anything you can do to support that show, that production, but really Patreon there, throw me $10 a month, and we're going to use it to build the team, build this production, and keep spreading the message one way or another. The connection with the team is and the censorship thing is that, like, I am so blessed that I just get to focus on content, and then I have a producer and a team behind me that's like, well, if we're like, you go to my YouTube channel, you see there's that one right there, right there where I'm signed off, that first one where I had to abandon this channel because it had 2 strikes, and I got like 100 million views, and it's only 80 something that shows because of all my videos that have been taken down. But I've got that huge archive there, and I don't want to give YouTube any more excuses to take shit down. I could produce one more video.
You're on 2 strikes right now?
What's that?
Are you still on 2 strikes?
I think we're down to 1. I think we had 1 expire. But see, even with that, I'd rather completely get away from YouTube and not invest. And this is one of the things, to go back to the original topic with censorship. They do get under my skin. I'm pretty zen, but I won't pretend that I'm impervious to this manipulation. Man, it's so frustrating to invest in a platform. YouTube sent me one of their platinum button plaques when I hit 100,000 or silver. You get a gold one for 1 million subs, right? I got a silver play button plaque on my wall, and then I've invested, and then they just basically take it away. You got to mourn.
They deleted me on YouTube, and I was like, okay, it's great DLive BitChute, but they're already deemed. If you just look up BitChute on Wikipedia, it's an alt-right Nazi platform. So the problem is, that's why I'm still here on YouTube, is because yes, some of my friends are here, but also that's where a lot of the sleepyheads are. So it's this really effed up situation.
If I may end on a little positive note here, I think one of the best things that you get, and this is from the book, from chapter 9, talking about emotional freedom. We got emotional slavery, health freedom, work freedom, and happiness causes freedom, is that it gives you that sovereignty of the mind. You might never control your animalistic responses to stimuli, but as a conscious human being, your response to the response is your choice. And by maintaining that sovereignty of the mind, that's how you stay really free and not being attached to anything. There's a certain Zen concept of detachment that you see is so important. When you're just you could get screwed at any time. All your work just poof, gone. And finally, to your audience, hey, share, like this video, support Will and this production, and whatever you're listening to. I mean, if you made it this far into the interview, you must have liked it at least a little bit. If you didn't like me, you didn't like the look of my face or my voice, then find another one of Will's videos to share. But whatever it is, just know that those of us in independent media require active and engaged audiences to do what we do. You're not just a couch potato watching cable news, buying soap and other bullshit consumer products. No.
MyPillow.com.
By being a part of this audience, you're part of the solution. So be active and engaged with it. And with that, Will, I truly have to go. I got another appointment. I really appreciate the opportunity. Keep texting. We'll be in touch, brother.
God bless you. Thank you so much. And while I'm letting Adam goes, look, you can support. You guys can support Anderson Cooper if you want, or you can give Adam $10 a month and let him create a media empire. I don't know about you guys, but I'd much rather wake up, put on the TV, and see Adam Kokesh breaking things down. I don't know. I trust Adam Kokesh a little bit. Don Lemon never put his life on the line for freedom. Anderson Cooper never did. But I trust Adam Kokesh. I don't trust anybody, like Stone Cold Steve Austin said. I learned that. I don't trust anybody. But I sure as heck trust Adam Kokesh a lot more than Anderson Cooper. So the links are in the description to this video, of all of his videos. Subscribe to him on YouTube. Look at this guy's got over 250,000 subscribers. And yet, and this, you can find his Facebook, his Periscope, the Freedom Line. All the links are in the description. Look at all these subscribers. Just take a look at this, Doc. This is so crazy, right? Let's see videos. Let's see. 3.5, 918 views. I have more views on my channel than Adam Kokesh. This is bad, okay? He's got over 250,000 subs, and I've got 5. So thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys. Adam is the man, Ashley Miller. Please like the video and share. He is the man. And he's such an awesome guy. He's changed the world many, many times over. And he still makes time to come on shows like mine. I love Adam. I've met him in person a number of times. Please go over to his channel. Please give him some donations. I may be doing another live stream later on this evening with some really interesting stuff. And I re-uploaded, because you guys already know what happened on my channel. Let me just say one more thing before we go here. I really appreciate you guys getting my videos out. I really, really appreciate it. Really, 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 really appreciate it. Help me get my subscriptions up if you're not already there. So we got Joe Biden owns. Help me get that out. Joe Biden's the president now, right? So let's get this video out. Kamala Harris, the vice president. Let's get this video out. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I talked with Alveda the King. And look, I'm confronting Jack Posobiec, right-wing guy. I got the full speech here of Joe Jorgensen from the Libertarian Convention. I got how the elite keep us down inside the Richmond rally, Denver airport. Yeah, I mean, I got it all. Mayors confronted, governors confronted. I admit this one's crazy. I admit I'm a nut. My old radio show, episode 1. So stay tuned. I'm going to be uploading a lot more. But like Adam said, the only way we're successful, we're not promoted like all these guys, like the MSNBCs and the Fox News and so forth. We rely on you guys. You guys. So if you want to help me, if you want to help Adam, please like, share, and subscribe to both of our channels. Get the information out there. And until then, we're going to be doing our thing. Just a regular guy with a backwards hat and a fake mic. Real news, we caught it. Good day, folks. Have a good day. Good day indeed.